with a topic cruising the PhD journey, an integration of philosophy and theory. Okay, my name is Indria Handoko. I'm a faculty member at Universitas Prasetya Mulia, and I'll be the moderator of this session. It's really great an honor for me to see you all here, fellow lecturers, researchers, PhD students, colleagues and friends, coming from different institutions and different countries. It's happy to meet you all here. Thank you all for taking time out and joining the session. Now, I would like to introduce you to our speaker, Muhammad Kasif Said from Pakistan. Hello, Kasif.
Hello, Indria.
It's grateful to have you here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
I'll share a brief profile of Kasif Said before I begin. Kasif is now an assistant professor at GIF University, Pakistan, and he also a fellow researcher at the Graduate School, University of Colombo, Sri Lanka. With a career span of 15 years, Kasif has published more than 50 research articles. 50, yes, 50. It's a huge number, Kasif, in 15 years.
Thank you.
Mostly in ABS rank and Scopus journals. Yes, you are indeed a very productive researcher. Kasif is now a brand ambassador of Emerald. His research interests are in marketing area, psychological area, organizational studies, among others. How did I know him? Kasif and I, and one other researcher, our colleague from Nepal, we've worked together on a research collaboration this year. That's how I knew him.
Yes.
And I'm thankful for that, Kasif.
It's a pleasure to work with you and the rest of the colleagues also. It's a good experience in fact, working with you.
Yes. Okay, in today's session, Kasif will present a topic about exploring a PhD journey, particularly some key issues in doing the research. In this topic, Kasif will discuss about the two commonly known philosophical research paradigms, Positivism and Interpretivism. He also will address about theory building and testing approaches using inductive and deductive reasoning, about the importance of integration between philosophy and theory building approach, and then what various forms of contributions can be generated from the research. And finally, Kasif will also discuss about a PhD plan in year 1 to 3. Seems a very, very, very interesting topic, Kasif. Just a brief information before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can either use raise hand feature in this Zoom or just drop your questions in the chat box. I'll bring them up after the presentation, okay? Now, it's time for me to turn the time over to you, Kasif. I would like to invite Kasif Said to begin this presentation. Kasif, the time is yours now.
Thank you, Indria. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you are joining. First of all praises to Allah Almighty. Thank you very much, Indria and the other colleagues from the research office and from the business school. It is an honor to present my thoughts, to share what I feel about research. It is really pleasing to see a lot of colleagues from Indonesia, a lot of friends after so long, after 3 years. I remember I was in Indonesia in 2017. So till then, it's like more than 3 years. I guess I was in the spring of 2017 in Indonesia. So it's like more than 3.5 years. So good to see all of you from Sri Lanka. I was just going through the profile of the candidates we have, the participants that we have today. We have people from all across, like African countries, Asian countries. Few are from Europe also, from Pakistan in particular also, from Nepal. Someone just texted me that from Nepal also. So let's not forget everyone. Thank you everyone for joining it. And first, thank you very much all the colleagues in Prasetya Mulia to inviting me for this talk. And also from India, yes. Someone also, gave me a text that they are from India as well. So I'll be sharing my screen now, Indria. And in case there are questions, you can stop me during the talk, or if there are urgent questions. Or what I will do, I will go through the talk. and then we can invite questions. And I would love to take questions actually, because the questions should be the heart and soul of this whole discussion. Okay, you can see my screen?
Yes, it's clear. I can see your
Okay,
screen.
all right, all right, all right. So, as you know, the topic is about closing the PhD journey and integration of philosophy and theory. So, I'll be talking about on three major aspects of the life of a scholar. Either you call it a PhD student, or you call him or her a scholar, or a philosopher, or whatever. So I'll be talking about the philosophies, the integration of philosophy and theory, and then of course the PhD journey is how you should plan about it, because you know things will happen. Either you plan them or no, things are going to happen. This is the pattern of life. It will move on. So better approach is considered that you plan accordingly and you act accordingly. My supervisor used to say, I start with her comment. She used to say, if you wanted to be known as a scientist, act like being. So act like being is properly planned as where we will do, what we will do, how we will do. So I will discuss and elaborate on all these aspects. Today's lecture, I'll be elaborating, I'll be talking about the benefits of having a PhD and the challenges ahead. If you are thinking of aspiring for a PhD, what are the challenges that you can face during the conduct of your PhD? Then the philosophical assumptions, of course, I'll be sharing my thoughts about positivism and interpretivism with some practical examples. Theory building and testing approaches, induction and deduction. I will not dedicate a separate, PowerPoints or separate topics to it. But once I will be elaborating positivism and interpretivism, I'll try to collaborate between all these aspects of theory building processes. Then why an integration is important? That's very important question for us to understand. And finally, what are the various forms of contributions in a research study? Quickly moving to the to the see the basics of what I'm going to talk about is the benefits of having a doctorate. You see, a lot of people, they ask that they are confused. Sometimes they say that they have no idea either to go for a PhD or let's say plan or another industry career, plan an academic career. So that's why I would like to share my thoughts that what are the benefits of earning a doctorate. And at the same time, because we should do a critical appraisal, I will also be sharing as what are the challenges ahead. When we talk about the benefits of earning a doctorate, a lot of benefits are there. To start with, financially rewarding, promotion opportunities, you will have a progressive career, you will have job opportunities in academia. Sometimes people might recruit you for a consultancy assignment also. Indriya, you have been to the West. There are a lot of people, those who are PhD, and they are working with the industry as a consultant. So that is one very important practice that we should borrow from the West. In Asia, I have seen to the few countries that I traveled to, although a lot of countries, but in Asia, a few countries, I have noticed that when people complete their PhD, they think that the only career option they have is academia. Actually, no. People can opt for trainings. They can launch their own training institute. They can opt for academic consultancy. They can opt for industry consultancy. They can also go for some public policy organizations. Maybe they can join a public sector organization where they can offer consultancy on the government assignments. Another benefit is that it serves your ego needs. Living in colonial societies, the post-colonial societies, like all of us, in fact, we belong to the post-colonial societies. So PhD gives you a status, a particular social status. I don't want to comment on that it should be the motive or no, but this is one of the motives that people opt for. And you will become famous having a doctorate because you will contribute in a field. But as I say, you will not be as famous as Michael Jackson. Maybe you need to opt for some other professions, maybe celebrity, a movie star. Should become, if you want to become much more famous, if this is your fame. But anyhow, if you will contribute well, you will become famous. Today we know Samuelson, today we know Philip Kotler, today we know Robbins, today we know Maslow. Why? Due to their work. So that's what I mean. You will become famous if you will do some significant achievement in your life. Then it is a sense of accomplishment. Once you will complete your PhD, you will see that you will feel like you have achieved something. And if you are into a good business school, they will teach you and train you in a way that you will learn to see one reality from very different angles. And your mind will be broadened up with the passage of time, and you will start thinking holistically, more holistically. And finally, it will be the intellectual excitement. If you like earn a doctorate, you will feel like you have you sometimes your life will give you surprises. If you find something new, something you are investigating, and if you find something new, you will see that the it will be more excite you, intellectually exciting. And finally, it will the wonderful soft skills you will practice. Time management as a soft skill, managing your supervisor just like managing your boss, so you will earn a lot of management skills, project management skills, time management skills, so a lot of softer skills you will practice during the conduct of your PhD. This is one side of the story, one side of the picture, one side of the coin. Now the other side, what are the challenges ahead? According to an estimate, only 40 to 50% of candidates who start the PhD are able to finish. 50 to 60% of candidates fail in the PhD program. And one of the reasons is that how come a person can come finish up the PhD is a perceived competence. One of the top three reasons between those who completed versus those who are unable to complete. And I have cited a reference here. The Dropout Intentions in PhD Studies, a comprehensive model. It was published in Contemporary Educational Psychology. So you see the perceived competence is a point you should pick from here, while only 40 to 50% of candidates who start a PhD are able to finish. Another fact, that's daunting. When I was starting the PhD, I was going through all that. Among all the PhD students, 1 in 3 are at a risk of psychiatric disorder. Okay, so the quality of PhD work, being unable to finish the task with sufficient quality, is the sign of worry, and it is among the top 2 reasons which causes people the stress. While purposeful supervision and guidance can help to reduce this level of stress. And these are again few references. Research Policy, they published about this fatigue among PhD students, and also some other researchers and scholars, they published about the management of stress. So you can see only 50% are able to complete, 1 in 3 may have a psychological or psychiatric disorder. And then another very interesting fact, that latest research suggests that challenges pertaining to doing research and lack of supportive network are 2 major reasons that people fail in the PhD program. So that also means that we need to focus on learning, we need to focus on learning the methods, learning the philosophies, learning the theory, learning the challenges, and at the same time, we need to establish a network. The student counseling is a very important aspect, and that's what the today's initiative is about. It's about building a network, it's about student initiatives, it's about counseling of the students. And this way they can help to minimize the stress. And again, the reference is cited, Sources of Stress and Scholarly Identity. The case of international doctoral students of education in Finland. Higher Education is one of the top tier journals. They have published this article. And another reference I have cited here. See, today's activity, this is how I see this today's activity is important, because we are talking about, we are sharing something among us, and we are trying to build a network. I hope that the participants who are attending the workshop, although we are connected even before this webinar, but I hope we will have a nice network for the upcoming event with us, and we will share as what are the guidelines needed, what are the problems, and what are the challenges. So counseling, sharing, and building a network is the key to success. That's why one reason, the why today's webinar. Now, as a research student, let's assume that this is your first day in your PhD, okay? Let's assume. You need to answer a few questions. For example, why you opted for an area of study? Why? Number 2, if you are thinking about topics, why you are thinking about those topics? Number 3, do you know how you will approach these topics? Number 4, do you know who will supervise you in these topics? So that's why that brings up the logic that we need to understand the philosophy, the mindset. The theory is about social practice, and the integration, of course, is a mindset with the social practice. So basically what you are doing in social sciences, you are trying to learn the society. You're trying to learn the pattern of society. You're trying to learn the pattern of behaviors in a particular type of decision making. I will elaborate further on it. For example, As I said, as a researcher, it's important to understand your role. Either you are a psychologist, you will see the reality in a very different angle. Let's say if you are a management scholar, you will see the world very differently, versus if you are a law based researcher, you will see the world very differently. If you are into biology, your role is different. If you are into higher education, again, your role is different. So you need to understand, who am I? What is my role? What I'm going to do, the investigation, and how I'm going to do is all about the methods. This is the first question. Secondly, what is an expected outcome? What all I will do in the span of 3 years or 4 years during my PhD, will it be considered as knowledge? For example, if I ask my friend, give me a glass of water, no, that is also an activity. And I say, okay, this glass of water is, too chilly to drink. I need hot water. Now, this practice, can we call it a knowledge if I know something, right? So we need to clearly differentiate what is scientific knowledge, accepted as scientific knowledge, because at the end of PhD, what you need to produce is the scientific knowledge rather than the other than this scientific or the social knowledge. And finally, what are the precautions that we need to take on? If I'm into, first I need to understand, then we will decide either I'm a positivist or interpretivist. First I need to classify myself. If I'm a positivist, I need to follow their advice. You see, the modern saying, the not the modern, in fact, the popular saying is that when you are in Rome, do as the Romans do. So your Rome could be interpretivism, your Rome could be socialism, your Rome could be pragmatism, your Rome could be positivism. So wherever you are, if you are into, let's say, qualitative research, you have to follow their procedures, while if you are into quantitative research, you have to follow their procedures. So you need to anyway find yourself where you are, and then follow the processes and procedures followed by those researchers. What is philosophy? I gave a big smiley because whenever I started discussion, I have seen people starting to preparing to sleep. So over the years, I learned few things to simplify. Indriya is laughing. Maybe I'm speaking her heart now. Over the years, I tried to learn that how to simplify. And you see, on a serious note, it's a very useful technique. If you can simplify a few things, you can easily make people understand about it. The more complex phenomena will be, the more complex the definition will be, the difficult it will be to understand. For example, if I say, let's say, a phenomena, let's consider a phenomena, an increase in PhD student completion rates. Let's say there is a business school, and they say that previously the let's say dropout rate was 60% or 70%. Now over the years, or let's say in the last 2-3 years, the rate has increased. Now 4 in 7 PhD students they complete, or 5 in among 7 PhD students they complete PhDs on time. But the management is like trying to understand why it is happening, what has suddenly happened. Though there could be possible reasons, like Professor A, he or she believes that an increase in research workshops, which is organized for PhD students, may have sharpened up their skills, and this could be one reason. This is one reality. Professor X assumes the core reason is constructive supervision. The supervisor are more positive, more critical, more elaborative, more detailed, and more responsive. Professor Z says that an increase in scholarship amount could have done that for students. So these three possible realities are there. And among these three, any one can be truth or all of three can be truth. But let's say, what is the difference between a reality and a truth? Now, findings of annual PhD student survey showed that 64% of students perceived constructive supervision as the dominating reason for their timely work. This way from reality, when we have some empirical data with us, when we have some empirical evidence, we can call it a truth because we are following the procedures. You can see there is a survey I mentioned, the PhD student, because it is all about the sample population I'm referring to. 64% is quite a number. So it means the dominant PhD students believe that now this among the three realities, one of the realities was proven as truth. And finally, the knowledge that if you will use this constructive supervision, the, the completion rates will improve with the passage of time. So you see the philosophy is now combined into these 4 sub aspects: phenomena, reality, truth, and knowledge. Phenomena, reality, truth, and knowledge. And I will elaborate further on it. What is that? It's a continuous dialogue concerning socio-political phenomena where we have multiple realities, subjective truth, and ever-shaping knowledge. It's a continuous dialogue. Life never ends. People die. Life continues. Okay, this is one reality. So we have a continuous dialogue. When I will die, the next generations will come. When all of us will die, of course, the next generation will come. Our forefathers passed away and we are there, we are discussing something. So it's a continuous dialogue. Life and the society is a continuous dialogue till the time that the day of judgment, as in Islam it is a belief that at the day of judgment people will be there and there will be some assessment of your deeds. So till that time there is a continuous dialogue. This is one aspect of philosophy. Then socio-political phenomena, which means that there are ups and downs. This is socio-political. There is no one absolute truth. There are multiple realities. Okay, so these are the few components that make philosophy of social science a very complex science. Now, because realities change with the passage of time, your knowledge also shifts from one paradigm to the other paradigm. I would like to give an example. Previously, people thought that people are idle, they don't work. That was theory X. But with the passage of time, when there was another argument, they say, no, people work. If you motivate them, if you encourage them, if you give them rewards, if you provide them opportunities to work, they will definitely work. They are not idle. So you see, the knowledge and the reality both are changing at the same time, maybe in a span of 2 months, maybe in a span of 2 years, maybe a span of 5 months or 5 years. Pre-COVID era, you see, if it is not COVID, I could have been in Indonesia today. Who knows? I could be speaking to my colleagues but only in one university. So one positive side of COVID is, if I say the negative side is that I'm conducting it online, one positive side is that at one platform, I can speak to many people from many countries. So it is an ever-shaping knowledge because the reality has changed. Life is not that open as it was previously. So when we talk about philosophy, we need to like uh, think about the continuation of dialogue, socio-political phenomena, multiple realities, subjective truth, and ever-shaping knowledge. Before digging deeper into philosophy, we need to understand, three further uh, dimensions, I would say, of philosophy. Again, equally boring. Okay, so stay with me. Don't worry. So, nature of reality. First of all, it is called ontology. And when I teach, I suggest it to my students. When I say ology, some rewards, I'll be thinking like managers, like those employees who speak well. Maybe I would say nepotism prevails everywhere. These are my predispositions. These are my assumptions before I start on a journey. If I'm into higher education research, you see, my reality would be teaching methods, teacher-student relationships, constructive supervision, as I elaborated in the previous slides, psychology of teaching and assessment, student motivation, student engagement, student disturbance during the class, friendship in an online class, and innovative teaching practices in a post-COVID era. Now, example is the students are more engaged in online classes. This could be my assumption. There's need to rethink about traditional mindset to teaching. This could be another assumption. So whenever we are talking about reality, our role will define our reality. My role is management researcher, my reality is different. If my role is into a higher education researcher, my reality will be different. So with your role comes your reality. Epistemology, it's a knowledge. And there are two mega approaches, nominalist and realist. When I say realist approach, it is more closer to the quantitative research because we are not digging deeper into the background of something what something is happening around. Rather, we are interested into what our senses can see. So that's a realist approach. If my senses can see that there are, let's say, let's say if there are 200 people attending this webinar, so that's the reality. But why they are attending, that's a nominalist question. Realists, they say that the knowledge is there is already something out there. Okay, so out there is highlighted and bold there, out there. For example, poor sanitation in different parts of the world, inflation rates in metro cities. I remember Jakarta being very expensive city. So I was thinking that the same again about Lahore in Pakistan, about Bombay, about Delhi in India, about Tokyo in Japan, let's say about Shanghai and Singapore, and likewise Colombo in Sri Lanka. So you can see that inflation rates are mounting in metro cities. The reason could be multiple. The stress among PhD students, again, a very common phenomena. But this is sometimes you can clearly see that the person is under stress. That's you can clearly see. Your senses can observe. So that's a realist epistemology. And in realism, we produce knowledge deductively because we can measure things. Okay, height we can measure, weight we measure, because it is clearly visible. But why people are doing something, we need to speak to them. Okay, and there are also pre-existing ideas that we use in deduction type of theory, like social identity theory. I gave one example. Social comparison theory, that people make some comparisons. Social exchange theory, that everything is exchanged among human beings. These are pre-existing ideas. So please try to understand that when we speak about epistemology, the question is that how we will produce knowledge and what is knowledge. So under epistemology, as I said, there are two approaches: the nominalist approach, which is more closer to qualitative research, and the realist approach, which is more closer to the quantitative research. And why a realist approach is more suitable with quantitative? Because the quantitative researchers believe that we can observe whatever senses can see. If you enter a retail outlet and you a good fragrance, this is part of your realism because you can actually smell that directly. But why this fragrance is a question of being a nominalist. Then positivism and interpretivism. What is the debate in between and how we can differentiate between the two? For example, in positivism, what is reality? This is the theory part, and I will, after this theory, I will elaborate with the examples. Let's say as a positivist, I believe what is reality? Reality is singular, not single. It is not single, it is singular. Means it can be viewed from one perspective, from one lens. Like if you give people rewards, they will be motivated. This is singular, but it can be rewards, it can be positive supervision, it can be familial care. These three are also combined to make it singular because this is only one view. It is fixed and a standardized process. Like deduction I spoke about, deduction is very straightforward process. You will think about few phenomena. If you ask me, you will think about few phenomena. You will try to bring those phenomena to Google Scholar, nicely fit in those phenomena into a theory. That theory will explain this phenomena in this manner, and then you start collecting data, come up with the result, and do the findings. But when we talk about interpretivism, reality is socially constructed. It means I need to be in a continuous dialogue where if I wanted to explore something. If you ask me why I publish so much papers, but what you can see is the number of papers, right? But why I publish, I may have my own reasons for that. You cannot generalize people publishing in journals, their reasons to me, because my reasons could be different. Indriya, she went to West for her fantastic PhD. Why she went to West? We cannot generalize all the people who go to West to her reasons. She could have a different reasons. And how we can know that? Because we will be in a dialogue with her, only then we can know that. Then the relationship between researcher and the researched. A positivist believe that maybe if there is a questionnaire, I can request my friends to fill it up. That's very simple. But when it comes to interpretivism, it needs close interaction. And close interaction does not mean the bodily close interaction. It means a neat, clean, focused interaction between the researcher and the research. For example, if I'm interviewing someone, I cannot say, okay, how was your PhD journey? And then I will start playing with my mobile. No, I cannot do that. What I need to do is close observation and close social interaction between the researcher and the research. Then the value system, the positivists believe that it should be unbiased, no biases, and you need to manage the common methods during the conduct of your survey. You need to understand that, and there should not be any biases. But the interpretivists believe that the reality is value driven, the phenomena is value driven, the research and investigation is value driven, and you need to present a social aura. For example, people go to different religious places. Now, why they go to religious places? Muslims could have a very different reasons comparable to the Buddhist, comparable to the Christians, comparable to people from other religions. So we need to dig deeper into those social practices and religious practices as why people do that. And as I said, research process active is static. It is quantity, it is numerical data. Inductive is more like a different set of data. In fact, I would say it's a huge set of data. Okay, it's a huge set of data. It's a piling up of data. You will see, you'll find yourself into a lot of data, sometimes buried under the data. You see, huge data sets are there. It's you cannot say a data set, but I would say a lot of angles are there. So it needs more focus and close understanding as what the data is trying to speak to you. So we can differentiate the positivism and interpretivism. Now let us take examples on the similar pattern. The positive mind says that what is the impact of constructive supervision on student motivation. Interpretivist mind says why PhD students at a university in Indonesia are motivated to conduct research. It could be a case study of only one university. So you see, the positivist mind is more static, more fixed, while the interpretivist mind is more liberal in that, is more open in that, is more flexible in that. Researcher or researched, and the research, you can use survey as a positivist, but you can use focus group, interviews, and Indriya, I would love to have a study of ethnography. I mean, we can use personal reflexivity as why people are stressed during the conduct of PhD program. Maybe silent observers can do it, but it will be an amazing study to conduct because you see the stress among researchers is mounting, stress among academics is mounting. Even pre-COVID, the stress was mounting a lot. Then the value system, I see social biases needs to be managed and results will be based on some statistical data, that is say the numerical data. Interpretivism, you need to cook the phenomena into local culture, maybe corporate stories, maybe real life examples. Again, as I said, the personal phenomena. And research process, deductive, you will formulate a hypothesis and there you will observe and keep on observing and collecting the data unless you reach somewhere. So this was about positivism and interpretivism with some practical examples. Now let us try to understand. As I said, let's suppose this is your first day in your PhD. Now you need to understand who you are. Are you a positivist? So you have a certain pattern of thinking. If you are an interpretivist, you have a certain pattern of thinking. I don't want to, unnecessarily over focus on it that, okay, if I'm a positivist, I cannot take on the qualitative research projects. And if I'm an interpretivist, I cannot take on quantitative research projects. It is just understanding of the self because it will help you. And I will explain how it will help. There are a few questions that you should address if you want to pitch yourself and position yourself and understand yourself, who you are. If I ask you this question, what is the ultimate purpose to conduct research? See how the positivist will answer. They will say that the causal laws exist. They will say illusionism prevails. And they'll say that there is insufficient data. That's why what people do, they will take one framework with them. They will critically appraise the framework, research framework, and they will say it is not enough. We will add moderator into it. We will add mediator into it because they believe that it is elusive. All the time it is elusive. You see, it's funny analogy. Sometimes an article which is published in 2020, you will take on the framework and you will critically analyze the framework and you will say, okay, there are a few points which needs further elaboration into it. Because why? Because you see that it is never ending story. It is never complete. It is insufficient. And it is still elusive because you are thinking from a very different angle. An example is a focus supervision, which can be a cause, results in motivation of PhD students, which can be an effect. And in this way, proper training can help you to figure out as how we can move forward. So this is the thinking pattern. If you ask a positivist what is the ultimate purpose of research, they'll say that, okay, there are causal laws, cause and effect. If I change one, it will have an impact on the other. As an interpretivist, you will try to have a deeper understanding as how people construct meaning in natural settings. And this is a very interesting phenomena, construct meanings, which means they have their own reasons, one. Number two, natural settings. It means that if I'm a professor in my university only. If you are approaching me at my home, I'm a father there. It's my natural setting as a father. I'm a son there. I'm a brother there. I have a very, maybe if you meet me, let's say at a coffee shop, neither I'm a father, nor I'm a brother, nor I'm a son. I'm a friend there. Okay, so keep in mind the natural settings. That's most important. And the purpose of qualitative, again, interpretive investigation is to find out is why people say what they say, to seek understanding of a social action. So you see, if you ask this question, ultimate purpose to conduct research, the positivists say there are causal laws. Interpretivists say, okay, there is a phenomena which we should cook with the cooking oil of cultural tradition and the environment. And there are personal reasons to it. Let's move forward to the other question. Now, if you ask question, what is the nature of social reality? The positivists will say it already exists out there. Everything has a cause. And freedom is an illusion. Freedom is an illusion. Why? There was a deterministic probability, 3.3 out of 4, that university education will move online during the COVID. The objective observation practice of other universities was out there. Either you know it before, during, or after the pandemic. And there is no control. You don't have any free will. You cannot control COVID. I wish I could control that. We all wish that, okay? But we cannot do that. So there is no free will, right? We cannot control the macro phenomena. We cannot control either Trump will win or the rest of the participants, they will win. We cannot control that. Someone else is controlling it. So there is, when we say positivism, there is no controlling force and you don't have any free will. Interpretivist, they say the reality does not exist. It is socially constructed. How socially constructed? When you are in a dialogue between researcher and the researched. So your object could be another person. Your object could be your friend. Your object could be your own son, your daughter, your parents, maybe your students, maybe your teachers, maybe your colleagues. They can be the object. And if you sit with them, discuss with them, you will dig deeper into their inner life via social interactions. And please be reminded, when you are into qualitative research, ethics come into play very strongly. And one thing very important, which I would like to mention here, although not within the topic, the scope of this topic, but from ethics perspective, I have seen that we collect data and then that data is disclosed over informal meetings with the friends. Let's say if I meet my friend over a coffee, I'll elaborate all the data. Please don't do that. Don't do that. You have some ethical responsibility when you are a researcher. And don't please misuse the data. Don't reveal the names. And please remember, the formal settings are just okay. They don't test us. But in informal settings, they test our temperament as a researcher. And they also test how ethical we are when we are conducting some sort of research. Why Asians are more inclined to join the PhD in the West? People could have very different reasons. Why the Western people are not interested to join PhD in the East? This could be a very interesting phenomena. If some of your friends sitting in the West can explore this phenomena, that could be a very interesting contributions. Why Africans are still interested to go to USA rather than Australia? I have seen their practice while being in Africa. That could be a very interesting phenomena because West is West, okay? So they can either go to Australia, they can either go to, so maybe some animosity towards country, maybe some sort of personal reasons will come into play. Another question could be, why are you attending this workshop? If we ask this question, we can come up maybe, let's say, more than 200 reasons with us, okay? If there are 100 people, everyone has some reasons to join this workshop. And of course, what makes my wife happy could be a very interesting phenomena. I need to sit with her. Maybe I need to ask from her, what makes her happy? How can I contribute to her happiness? What are the reasons of her happiness? But if I ask this question, What makes my boss happy could be a very different reasons. What makes beggars happy could be very different reasons. What makes research students happy could be very different reasons versus what makes supervisors happy could be very different reasons. Okay, so when you are an interpretivist, you are into these type of questions. You are trying to explore as what actually exists over there, and via social interactions, you will reach to this point. So what is acceptable explanation or a theory? The positivists say, the interpretivists say that the theory is ideographic. It means that you will come up with the data which is written in the form of emotions. As I sometimes in a funny manner I say that your data is laughter when you are into qualitative research. Your data is tears when you are into qualitative research. Your data is emotions. Your data is stories. Your data is straying here and there. If you are conducting a study, let's say over what are your reasons that you are loyal to a brand, people might be talking about forest, people might be talking about COVID, people might be talking about aeroplanes, people might be talking about Obama. Okay, so you need to bring the focus with yourself. That's the ideographic nature. Another important aspect is the typification. And I have elaborated this phenomena with an example. For instance, while having lunch with a school friend, you met him or her after long years. You got to know that he became a violent criminal. Now, next time, meeting with such a friend, you might remain careful in several ways. This knowing is the typification. So first meeting and then the second meeting and the third meeting, and who knows, third meeting never happened. Okay, so this adjustment is called typification. In the qualitative research, you will do this typification. First interview, then the second interview, then the third interview, then the fourth interview. So this is originated from typism, which means that you are socially intelligent, and in a way when you are conducting a study, you are actually active. Okay, you are not silent as a researcher, and you will try to learn as how things are happening around. And the strength of theory depends upon how thick the explanation is. Are you coming up with reason 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, and a million? So depends upon how rigorous is your data and what are the reasons you are coming up with. While theory for positivists, there are certain principles that we need to follow. Tabula rasa. It is a mind which is blank, the positivist belief. It is a mind which is born black, the mind of a baby, tabula rasa. He or she can do everything, tabula rasa, unless until the baby learns. Tabula rasa. So empirical data will help you to teach your mind as what is important and what is unimportant, what I need to do and what I not need to do. So that is one aspect of this theory for positivism. Another approach that they use is nomothetic or instrumentalist approach, where they say that there is already a system of laws, which means the theory already exists. That I elaborated earlier: social identity theory, social exchange theory, let's say identity theory itself, social comparison theory. Okay, so all these are, let's say, conservation of resources theory. This is an instrumentalist approach, and this is where the positivist approach is linked to the theory. And the core knowledge is falsification. As I elaborated earlier, theory X and Y. Previously, people believed that people don't work. So this was one evidence. But the same researcher came up with the contradictory evidence and said that no, people work if you offer them the opportunities to work. So let's assume if there is no falsification, we all could have been testing how idle we are. How idle we are, and what are the consequences and what are the antecedents of being idle at work. But thanks to those people who introduced this falsification approach, let's say one group of scientists say that people are unethical, and rest of the people keep on testing the unethicality of people. End of the day, this whole world will be comprising of people who are unethical. But one evidence is people are unethical, other evidence is people are ethical. This contradictory evidence is called falsification. And this is the mirage, this is the height of theory building in a positivist approach, in a quantitative research approach, that you need to find a contradictory evidence. Let's move forward now. What is a theory? Because I was talking too much about theory. Theory is a system of ideas to explain something. It provides us the reasons why something is happening around. And I will like to elaborate with some examples. For example, there is a phenomena why employees leave their companies due to destructive supervisory behaviors. No, you found something that due to destructive supervisory practices, people leave the companies. But why? There should be something in between, right? Something should explain this phenomena. Let's take example. Ego depletion theory. The theory says that employees leave because when supervisors insult them, their self-esteem and ego is depleted. Once their ego is depleted, they feel fear of it, or they tend to leave the company because they cannot tolerate their self-respect. So this is one reason that people leave, and it is elaborated via ego depletion theory. Another reason, affective events theory. Events at work change implies attitude. The continuity of negative event, it means bad bosses with bad practices, change imply attitude with the company and ultimately they leave. Another theory is social comparison theory. A compares himself or herself with the B or X, and they say, okay, you are treating him very personally and very nicely, but you are treating me very badly. This could be another reason that people leave the company. And conservation of resources theory. This says that if I will be in conversation with those people who are bad, those who are arrogant, all those spirits will be entered into my own self, and I will lose my attitude. I will lose my positivity. So with the fear of having losing of my own resources, people tend to leave. So one phenomena with multiple reasons: ego depletion, affective event, social comparison, and conservation of resources theory. So that by that I mean that one phenomena can be studied with multiple theories because theories give you multiple reasons to explain a particular phenomenon. A very interesting profile. Why we see what we see. We were talking about our roles: psychologist, crime investigator, human resource manager, let's say a language expert. Now, taking the previous example in our minds with our memory, let's say a psychologist would like to understand the psychological mechanisms that cause mental stress. As a crime investigator, who's the culprit? Who committed a social crime? Because the change in role will change your definition of the phenomena. An HR manager, was employee a bad performer? If yes, please allow him or her to leave. So a blessing in disguise, the destructive leadership could prove a blessing that a low performer can actually leave your company. And another could be if language expert. If I'm a language expert, I would be interested that which words and body language was exchanged among people or between people, between the supervisor and the supervisee. So you see, your role will define the way you observe a phenomena. As a psychologist, it is different. As a crime investigator, different. As an HR manager versus a language expert. Now, how you select your role, okay, and how your role dictates a type of theory. If you are a psychologist, you are interested into mental stress, and the theories that you can use is, of course, is conservation of resources theory. Crime investigator, general theory of crime. HR manager, social dominance theory. Language expert, social interactionism theory. So you see, your role is actually helping you to hunt few theories, and it is actually your role which will help you, which will taking you into a phenomena. Otherwise, as an HR manager, you are not interested to identify someone who is a criminal. As a psychologist, you are not interested in the discussions of language. So please define your role, who you are, either an HR manager, crime investigator, language expert, or a psychologist, or whosoever. And then you will see the type of theories coming up with. Now the final part of our presentation, the contribution to theory building in social sciences. What are the various forms of contributions in a PhD study that you can come up with? First of all, define where do you exist, what type of theorist or scientist you are. And I have referred a book, The Structure of Scientific Revolutions by Kuhn, 1962. A very interesting writing if you would like to read about it. He differentiated the science. Later on, it was actually not, he did not differentiate it. It was in the early 70s that the science was distributed into two. People say it's the one type of science is normal science, other is the revolutionary science. Most of us are most of the times into normal science. How? You see, normal science is all about gap spotting. Borrow logic or reasoning from already established theories, applies these theories and filling an important gap. So if you are talking about gap spotting, you are into normal science. revolutionary science. You are challenging existing phenomena. You are rejecting the prior work. You are coming up with entirely new reasons to conduct research, new phenomena, new definitions, new perspectives. And I will elaborate on its examples in the coming PowerPoints. Let's say that the contributions, first of all, let's talk about these. One type of contribution could be that you attempt to replicate previously tested assumptions in new settings. This is completely replica study. A study conducted in USA can be replicated to Indonesia, Pakistan, Dubai, etc., etc. And you say that there are cultural differences, and replication is a very important contribution actually in a study if done correctly. Then study of similar effects that have been proposed. The relationships were there, they were proposed via some conceptual paper, there were some propositions, but you went on to testing them. Those were not previously tested. Then of course the traditional but very useful approach is mediator and moderator into existing frameworks. As I was elaborating that there is a framework, maybe you can come up with one mediator, two mediators, one moderator. So this way you can do it. And finally, the two other forms are the highest level of contributions, maybe examining previously unexplored relationships or introducing a new construct. If you are introducing a new construct, you are bringing in a new construct, you are giving us, the management scholars or the philosophers or the psychologists or the sociologists, a new way of thinking towards a phenomena. Forgiveness at work is one example. There was one colleague here in Pakistan. He studied the writings of our famous poet and philosopher, Allama Muhammad Iqbal. Allama means highly educated, highly wisdomary. Allama Muhammad Iqbal. He studied his writings and he gave us a critical analysis of the Western thinking, and it was published in Organization, very famous journal. And also this work of Imam Ghazali, Rahmatullah alayh, to advance knowledge in business ethics, Akbar and multiculturalism. I have given references at the end. So sometimes what you do, instead of replicating or instead of testing those phenomena which has not been tested before, instead of adding a mediator or moderator, you will challenge the status quo and you will say, okay, there are few constructs which needs to be born. And if you are coming up with something new, this is the highest level of contribution you are coming up with. So the PhD plan, I took this picture from a source and I have tried to properly reference it. Your plan could be very straightforward, okay, but the reality could be entirely different. So try to understand the reality before you move on a plan. And it is always a zigzag. Even if you are an experienced researcher or you are someone just finished your degree, it's a zigzag plan because of course it's a 3-year. And if you think about your life in the last 3 years, was it that smooth? Of course, no. You were having a lot of ups and downs. So 3 years means 3 years, a lot of ups and downs. So live with it. And I will try to, based on my experience, it's not a theory that I'm going to talk about now. Based from my experience, I will elaborate a few of the aspects as how you can plan your PhD studies for 3 years. The first year of PhD, you should complete the coursework. And I would urge the business schools, all those deans, directors, head of the business schools, those who are attending and people who are in charge of the PhD programs, once they are conducting the coursework or they are guiding the students, they should guide students mainly into 2-3 areas: methods, philosophies, and theories. Methods, philosophies, and theories. So as a PhD student, you should aim that you have completed the coursework and you learn about, let's say, quantitative methods, qualitative methods, mixed methods, multi-methods, mono methods, whatever the methodological training you had, you need to understand that. What methods you learn now? What are the philosophies into the state of social sciences? And of course, the theories. Another goal is very interesting. Find and finalize a supervisor. Please read his work before approaching him or her. Contact him nicely and introduce yourself, who you are, why you are interested in this study, what is your passion, what is your background. Don't write an email like a stranger. I always request my students that whenever they are asking something, please tell your background. Please will you tell me who you are. So approach people nicely. Either you are asking for help or you're asking for any feedback, or you're asking for a PhD supervision or research supervision, contact people nicely. Tell them who you are. Tell them your background. It's good to share. If you have some Google Scholar account, share your Google Scholar account. Also, it's good if you have, let's say, a ResearchGate account, share that. If you have any type of social media that you use and can give your identification, please use that. This is, I call, contact them nicely. Make them believe that you can do that and you have read their work. You know, why I'm smiling, I have some reasons. There are people who approach and say, sir, I read your work. Okay. Like one of the persons, he said that, sir, I read your work and it is into positive psychology. I said, okay, positive psychology is a full field, but where into positive psychology? And he disappeared. Sir, here, there. Don't do that. Your first impression, if not lost, but will be long lasting. Okay, so again, the value of ethics, again, the value of making your potential supervisor believe that you can do that, and you have read their work, you have read the limitations. Maybe if I will view, and if I will be approaching a potential supervisor in a hard copy, I will take 2, 3, 4, 5 papers of interest. I will highlight with the highlighter. Okay, this is a limitation, this is a research gap, this is a method you adopted. And see, sir, in this paper, page number this, you mentioned about this, I'm interested in that. Page number this, paragraph number this, you mentioned this weakness, I'm interested to address this weakness. This way make them believe, you know, it's a complex word, and that's not our topic, why it's a complex word, but it is a complex word. So make people believe that you are authentic, make people believe that you have the skill to go through, and make them believe that yes, you have this passion to conduct a research degree. Finally, you should know how often and how to approach them. Some people are very comfortable with WhatsApp, okay. Some people are comfortable with emails, that's all right. Some people are traditional. In a post-COVID environment, they'll ask you, okay, visit them. So when to visit them, how to visit them, where to visit them, ask them, please. Okay, you are into PhD, you are into PhD degree, so please ask them. And this will clear a lot of things from you. And also, please get ready in this stance, get ready to be scolded by them. If they are not scolding you, please remember, they don't care what you are doing sometimes. So scolding positively, negatively, whatever, this, I don't believe in this abusive supervision type of constructs. Sometimes they abuse. Abuse does not mean that they are literally abusing you. Maybe they are rough on you. Maybe they are hard on you. Maybe they are bit like shouting on you that why you are not doing it. If you call this expression as an abuse, I totally disagree, because sometimes I was unable to work. I was not understanding what he or she was trying to tell me. So please consider this aspect of life also. On the other side, perform a literature audit. Understand what I wanted to do. Okay, this is one activity. Who is the beneficiary? When you are thinking about your research ideas, who is the beneficiary? Government, industry, society, all three, or one? Universities, fast food chains? Let's say, who is your beneficiary? Please make it understandable to you at least. Who is the beneficiary? For whom you are conducting this research? How you are going to approach it? The methods. No, there is a connectivity. See, if you are a supervisor, potential supervisor, whom you are trying to approach for potential supervision, if he or she is expert in qualitative research and you wanted to do quantitative research, come on, your cycle will fall down. Okay, the cycle which I referred here, just go back. You will fall down from the cycle, because this is the first zigzag, this is the first speed breaker, and you are at the same speed. So please consider that the methods that you are trying to use and your supervisor is capable of supervision, though those coincide, the topics coincide, the beneficiary coincide, the mindset coincide. And of course, one very important aspect, is there really a contribution? Don't push yourself, okay? Don't tell lies to your own self. If there is a contribution, please continue. Otherwise, don't fix yourself. Sometimes one of the problems of the PhD students or the research students, like when they approach me, they are too much into a topic. They are too much into a topic. without reading. Don't do that. There is a difference between a title and a topic. There is a fine line between them. When I say title, title is title. Let's say abusive supervision of an abusive supervisor in a PhD. Let's say this is a title. Okay. When I say topic, topic means that I have read about it. I know the gaps. I know the methods. I know the beneficiary. I know the literature in the field. I know the theories. I know the outcomes. So title is title and topic is topic. So when we say select a topic, that does not mean that come up with a title and leave the rest of the work to your supervisor. Yeah, I wish I could speak more on that, because there are a lot of things to, this is a lot of social skills we need to have in the first year, second year, third year, and please continue it after your PhD as well. That is most important. These are the management skills that one should carry. So this is your first year of PhD. Idealistically, you should have finished up your coursework and get ready for a proposal defense. But please don't overlook the formatting. Business schools, they have, in the university, follow Cambridge, some will follow. Get ready to get a feel of it, read about it. Reading is the critical aspect during the span of your PhD. But the first year, no, I will give a holistic view of that. What I wanted to say is, be friends with your supervisor, be friendly, sorry, not a friend, be friendly with your supervisor, be open, be authentic, don't tell lies, don't try to cheat. These are the basic tenets of having a marvelous PhD. It will be a good starting point. If you don't understand anything, please humbly visit the offices and tell your supervisor, please, I don't understand. And I guess a lot of people, they will be nice enough. What maximum they can do? They'll scold you. No worries, please. He or she is your supervisor, so he or she has the right to do it. So please try to understand. Finalize supervisor, complete the coursework, learn methods, and learn what you are trying to do. So there are two sides of it. One side is administrative. If you see the left side, completing the coursework, finding a supervisor. Right side is you. Understand what you are trying to do, okay? And what means the method, beneficiary, literature, gaps, contributions, and most important, your motivation. So this is idealistically should be your first year of PhD, and you should get the pace to get ready with your proposal defense. Now the second year, idealistically, again, I would say it's based on my experience. It's not a theory. The second year of PhD, successfully defend the research proposal, expect a lot of questions, expect a lot of stress, but that's what you are into. PhD is a degree of stress management. PhD is degree of, let's say, social relationships. PhD is degree of being authentic and ethical and being open to ideas, in fact, and to your own personality. And of course, PhD, what I believe is that it's your personality development program. It's the way you will learn who you are, what are your likes and dislikes, what are your personality types, which way you can work, which way you cannot. Listen to questions. Sometimes, Indriya, in a lot of PhD defense, when I ask people, let's say in an MS defense, when I ask people a question, they said, yes, yes, sir, you are right. So I say, if I'm right, then what you were doing in the last 1 year, if I'm right. So you can say, yes, sir, you are right, but please explain your arguments. You can say, yes, sir, this is one perspective you are thinking, but this is another perspective, this is another perspective, this is another perspective, this one is another. So if I say, okay, yes, Dr. Indriya, you're right, it means I'm wrong. I have done nothing. And I am doing this lip sync to you instead of defending my own work. So in a PhD defense, it is requested to not to just simply agree to everything. You know, I have seen people sometimes, one of the failures in a proposal defense, and I call major revision a failure sometimes. Why? Because people are not arguing, they're not counter arguing, not nicely presenting their arguments that yes, sir, you are right, but this could be one reason, this could be another, this could be another, this could be another. This way you can show it to your examiners that yes, you have read it properly. This is one task. Ethics approval. Ethics approval. I remember when I was seeking ethic approvals, it was 50-page long document. Okay, and we are lucky in some countries, there are no ethical approval guidelines, but actually these are needed. Actually, these are needed. while filling up the data, you see, I was so surprised that the committee was asking me how you will dump the data, for how many years you will carry the data, how you will preserve the data. Let's say if your laptop is being used by your children and your family, how you can secure the privacy of the informants. They gave you data and you have their input, you have their emotions, you have their worries, you have their thoughts. So how come you can preserve the data, how to store the data, how to dispose of the data? Okay, and if you are coming up with a, let's say if you are a hermeneutics researcher, you are someone who is conducting some analysis on the sacred texts, so you may have photocopies of the sacred text. You cannot torn it up. Come on, it's a sacred text. So how you will preserve it? That's a very interesting question during the my ethics approval when I was applying for and I was into an interview as how to dispose of the data, how to collect the data, what would be the ethics. And one very important aspect is if you ask a question in a qualitative study, sometimes it will have a bad impact on a person. The person might be into tears. No, what is the impact of your research on the personality of the person? How you will mitigate that? How you will manage that? So sometimes the universities are too critical into ethics approvals, but sometimes they are too open and they don't even, a lot of researchers, they send us emails, fill this questionnaire. But why? My data is not my data. It is my organization data you are trying to grab. So please also try to understand that at least give an information sheet that what this research is about, who are the potential informants, what is my role, how come you will ensure the privacy of my own self, and how come you will analyze the data, how you will present, where this will be used. There are 9-10 components. Indriya, if you remember, I shared a questionnaire with you, and there was a long information sheet over there in my questionnaire. There was like 10, 11 points that were there. At least give that to the potential respondents. They can read out, okay, and then they feel safe, and only then you can collect data from them idealistically. On the other side, the softer skills, keep on checking more than reading and be truthful to yourself. Are you on the right track? That's a very important question to ask. Are you on the right track? Keep all those critical incidents happening during data collection. Make a diary of it. What I used to do during my data collection period when I was collecting data, I was making a diary of it. That okay, this respondent he asked this question, this respondent he asked this question, I went there, this happened, I went there, this happened. All these stories will give you a lot of knowledge and a lot of insight when you are teaching a research methods class. Now imagine yourself, you are sharing all those nice stories with your students. You can tell them what actually happens when you are collecting the data. And finally, keep on refining the literature review, the introduction section, and the method section in your research. That's very important part of your life. If you can do it this way, you see again the two sides of one picture. At one side, administrative work, defend proposal, ethics approval, remain genuine. On the other side, your role. Your role is try to analyze, are you on the right track, the critical incidents, and of course, the data collection. And one very important perspective is that you should have collected data and aim to publish a systematic literature review. It could be a conference paper you can present. When I did, I was able to, by grace of Allah, publish a paper with a journal with Taylor and Francis. So my supervisor said that instead of wasting this paper, or let's say only putting it as a literature review, you should come up with a systematic literature review. So maybe sometimes in future, we can have a discussion as how to conduct this systematic literature review that will, enrich further the thinking of the PhD students that in their first or second years, if they are planning for a systematic literature review, that within itself is an article that they can produce. And once, like I was a bit lucky in that my paper was published online before I was approaching the proposal defense. So what I did, I shared it with my actual examiners that said, this is the copy of the article that I published. And it helps you a lot. It adds to your credibility actually. But I'm not giving this idealism to everyone that everyone should do that. This is just one humble practice that people can do that. And please always speak to people in the industry, because if you are into management research, Your research should be of some help to industry or to the society or to the public policy. They are the beneficiaries. And permanently you need to think about it. Are you on the right track? Are you really doing what you planned in the first year? Are your like the data with the type of data coming up, are you really contributing to the societal or industrial development? No, finally, the year of celebration, I would call it. Mostly people are very relaxed in the third year of PhD. They are imagining about it. Am I right, Indriya? They are imagining of wearing the red color gown, and they say, okay, they'll be studying there. And they are like photo imaging themselves, and they'll be having this type of picture and this type of picture. And of course, doctor will be put to their name. So third year is more of imagination. And sometimes this imagination takes our focus away. So this very crucial third year should start from celebration, but also some rationalization should be there. For example, right up towards completion. And because you're writing a lot, and in a bilingual context, I understand that grammar, sentence structure, argumentation, and formatting, these are the points you need to consider. You have collected data, you have presented your paper, your supervisor is quite happy that, okay, one another person will be graduating now. You are also extremely happy. Family is also has starting being happy. But in under this happiness, don't bury your rationalization, don't bury your formalization during the span of third year. This is the most important year. Who knows of your degree? Because you need to take care of the grammar, sentence structure, and formatting guidelines. Also, please submit error-free final draft. This is very important. Read it multiple times. What practice I used to do before that I read it once, then I left it for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, read it again, left it for 2, 3 days, 1 week, 10 days, read it again. The more I read, the I was able to, make it more comprehensive, make it more logical, and please give those breaks, the psychological cognitive breaks, uh, because you are too much into your own thesis. If you have a good friend who loves to read, maybe you can share your boring thesis to him or her to read, and ask him or her to, okay, you will take him or her to a coffee shop or to a McDonald's. Okay, in lieu of that, ask him or her to read. Maybe 2, 3 friends, why not? Ask them to read and use this track changes function. If they feel that there is some typos, there are some sentence issues, of course, they can help you out in that. The softer side, spare some time to read and reread your own work, as I said, your own work, and think about angles. Okay, why the findings, what is new, and keep on punching the newness, keep on punching that, your problem statement, your research objectives, your linkage between introduction section, the chapter of introduction, and the result section, the combination between the two. Are you like on the right track? Are you really contributing? Your significance of the study and the findings, are these properly discussed? These are very important aspects. If you ask me, the most important chunks in the final year would be the introduction section of your chapter, the introduction chapter, and then the findings chapter. And the linkage of these two will be under discussion section. And under discussion, please give reasons. What are the contextual reasons why results are the way they are? What are the theoretical reasons why results are the way they are? And of course, the methodological reasons why results are the way they are. So contextual, methodological, and theoretical reasons you need to put into practice. And alongside that, what you can do, part of your celebration could be, once you have submitted your draft, prepare to publish your article for a journal publication. Let's say if you are into development of a scale, you can publish multiple articles. One could be systematic literature review, one could be for qualitative study, one could be for scale development, and one could be for scale validation and testing the nomological validity. So with your own work, if you sensibly and socially, if you are socially intelligent in this way, you can publish 3, 4 nice articles which are useful and someone might be able to read. Now, finally, there are few suggestions. Please always read well, thoroughly, and do not listen to people who tell you shortcuts, but do not abide by them. Okay, listen to them carefully. Who knows that from shortcuts you will get a motivation that I will never use the shortcut? Who knows from the shortcuts you will get to know that, okay, these are the drawbacks. Sometimes I have seen people that people ask them, okay, what is the, even people ask from me, sir, what is new in the field of marketing that I should investigate? I don't tell them the areas. That's not my job. It is your job to hunt. It is your PhD. It is your job to explore. What I can tell you, maybe some call for papers. What I can tell you, maybe get connected with people who are conducting an investigation. Maybe get you connected with all those people who are sitting in an industry and facing a dilemma. That's all what I can do. If you ask me to give you a topic, I'm sorry, I will not do that. This is not my role. You need to understand. This is your role to hunt a topic. And a topic is not a title, please. Another suggestion. Listen to your supervisor's perspective. Stay back. When I say stay back means does not go away. Stay back means that, you see, be on the back foot. Listen to your supervisor. She or he has a different perspective and try to understand. Sometimes I don't have the sense to understand that. Discuss your area with industry expert in management sciences. Please do that. This is very, very important. And they will be giving you some very interesting insights. In my PhD, when I was collecting data, people from top companies, because my PhD is into globalization of markets, globalization research type of research it is. And I was able to speak to people who are working in multinational companies, and they were quite critical. And with their help, under the guidance of my supervision, input coming from industry, and then I took my supervisor into confidence. These two things were discussed under the supervision. I should not ignore my supervisor, listen to industry expert, or I should not only listen to my supervisor and ignore industry experts. Bring these two combinedly, and then this is your management skill, how you are going to manage the two. Persistence, patience, and understanding of methods. This is very important. Please never overlook formatting guidelines. Very, very important. I have understood, I have observed, and a lot of you also have observed that people have this tendency that they overlook formatting, and they don't consider it very important because they think that it will not be credited anywhere. But come on, it is one of your skills. This is one of the project management skills. Let's say if you will conduct an industry project, they'll ask you to present a report. They will give you some formatting guidelines. If you have gone through the process, you will learn how to actually do it. Please perform volunteer work. I don't mind checking the quizzes of my supervisor's class. I don't mind teaching her classes. I don't mind attending her classes. When I was into my MPhil degree, back in 2004, don't guess my age now, back in 2004, when I was into my Master of Philosophy degree, I remember I used to check the hard copy quizzes of a class of 70 people. Statistics was not my area, but I used to attend the class because I was free, I was doing nothing. So please perform some volunteer work. This could be in the form of, let's say, helping a friend into compiling an assignment, helping a colleague, a senior colleague, into making a class map for a case discussion. This could be anything. A volunteer work is a volunteer work. I don't need to, more into definition of it. Yes, helping someone to prepare lectures even. Attend conferences and symposiums. It has its value. Listen to people. And I used to say to my students sometimes that if from one class you learn one thing, that's enough. That's enough. In a semester, you will attend 30 classes. It means you are at least learning 30 new things. So 30 new things in 4 weeks, in a 4 months time, more than enough. Multiply by the 3 courses, so 100 new things in one semester. But sometimes we ignore something. Make a diary of it. What you learn, make a diary of it. So attend conferences, symposiums, listen to what others are doing, listen to what people think about your topics, and listen to what your other colleagues think about the topic you are trying to investigate. And how is your idea unique? Join doctoral research group, but don't be over influenced by them. Sometimes they'll tell you the horrible stories. We have this tendency as human beings to tell the negatives that okay, people will die, people will be depressed, people will be this. Okay, it's okay. PhD is an individual journey. PhD is an individual journey. So it depends from one person to the other, to the other, to the next other. I cannot generalize my journey to others, please. So don't do that. If someone is telling you a horrible story, please try to make him or her feel relaxed. Okay, no problem. Good things will come to you. See, this happened to me also. You can use these type of slangs with him or her to balance the equation. Join the doctoral research groups, but don't be over influenced. PhD is a great degree to have. It's a lovely journey. When I was publishing papers, I was thinking that publishing papers is enough. But trust me, under the guidance of a supervisor, my supervisors made me realize that no, the guided supervision is a guided supervision and there is no substitute to that. And finally, be authentic and respectful and never backbite your supervisor. You see, if you can observe, I'm too much into the supervision. Never backbite. If I will backbite my supervisor, then whom I'm gonna spare? I should expect my students will backbite me also. If I don't pay respect, I should get ready to be disrespected by my students as well. These are the few references. And as always, your questions are a big source of motivation. That's all from my end so far.
Thank you very much, Kasih, for your great presentation. Let me
Thank you.
let me highlight some points from your presentations. Okay. Okay. You share about the benefits of doing a PhD, and among others, a sense of accomplishment. Yes, it is. It is very true. And then you also mentioned the risky journey.
Yes.
So that's why we need a constructive supervisor, right, during this journey. And you also pointed about consulting, sharing, and building networks. That's why this webinar is conducted.
Yes.
Yes. And remember who you are, who is your role in the research, and then what kind of issue phenomenon you want to study, and how the methods. Yeah, that's the important key issues in the first step. And then you talking about the theory building in the perspective of ontological epistemology and sociology. And then you also share about 5 contributions from replications to new constructs.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think for the PhD journey, it's the last one would be mostly focused on the new constructs. Yes. And then about the PhD journey, it's in this one, I actually have a different story with yours. That's it. Okay. The first year for me was very, very exciting, yet also very tough. The first year of mine. And then the second year for me was a very, I think the most enjoyable in data collection. You know, I'm doing a qualitative research, and data collection for me at that year was very excited because I met several people, and then I capture all the insights from the people in the field. And that year, I'm doing a 4-year study, and the second year was for me was data collection was the most enjoyed. And then the third one and the fourth year for me was very, very the road was very bumpy and uncertain because it's writing up, you know, it's a narrative style of writing of a qualitative research. So that's for me, it's yeah, again excited, but yet it's very it was challenging. And then you finish with some tips about how be successful in doing the PhD journey. Yeah.
Yes.
And don't forget to keep punching on a novelty. That's I think a critical point in this kind of in this journey, because that's would be I think determinant for you to succeed or not in the BIFA or in the final stage. Yeah, to show your contributions, and then also opportunity for publications and
Yes,
contributions in the practical side or managerial side.
absolutely.
That's very, very interesting, and some participants also uh, appreciated what you just presented here. But we want everyone also to have comments and questions. So we're now in a question and answer session. So
Yes.
anybody wants to have a question to Kasif?
Bu Indria, my name is Teddy.
Oh
I want
yeah,
to
thank you.
raise,
Maybe, yeah,
the first question.
yeah.
First of all, I'd like to thank you to Bu Indria who facilitates this sharing session. Also to Professor Kashif for very insightful sharing regarding how to complete journey of PhD. Uh, I would like to ask your advice regarding how to implement this for students who also perform a job. For example, for myself, I'm a full-time employee, and I have to also to complete my PhD journey. The most concern regarding the time management, because in one side we have to also perform my jobs, and other side we have to also pursue our aspiration for having completed the PhD journey. Especially for me who find myself and not coverage by company. So it's my only individual aspiration, not the company aspiration. So how to mitigate this concern, to make balance between perform our work and also perform our study. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Pak
Yeah.
Teddy. So it's about time management, yeah, between
Correct.
work and study.
Yeah, yeah. It's about time management. Time management is again one of the, first of all, it's one of the management skills that one should have. And if you ask me, the time management, that I might not refer to a theory or philosophy of time management, but it's more like a practice. What you can do, maybe divide your time and stick to that. That's what I did. I was very strict in that okay, this hour and this hour is for playing, this hour is for video game, this hour is for walk, this hour is for writing, this hour is for reading. So act like a robot sometimes, but for a few years. Right, so fix your time and stick to it. This is one thing. Secondly, what I would recommend during the span of your PhD, maybe you can minimize your layer time. Maybe if you have some layer activities, some hobbies, if you have, so sometimes it's always good to just leave those aside, focus on the PhD, and then maybe after the PhD you can carry forward this. You see, when I started PhD, I was very fond of playing cricket, but I left. I left. Why? Because I cannot do the two at the same time. I thought that I was sparing like 2 hours in the playground, and I need to finish my PhD at time as well. So sparing 2 hours, why I not sparing these hours in my study room and read about it? So maybe time management, stick to it. And one another suggestion would be that maybe you can reduce your layer time. And with the passage of time, initially it will be tough. You'll be overly thinking about it, but this is how it goes on. You have to leave, it's a trade-off. You have to leave something to get something.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Prof. Yeah.
You're most welcome.
Bu Indria, Hengki.
Oh yeah, Pak Hengki, please, Pak.
Okay. So Professor Kashif, thank you very much. That was a great presentation, actually.
Thank you, most welcome.
Yes. My concern on the literature review, actually, this section is a very challenging one, right? So
yes,
do you mind to share with us how do you arrange or how do you rearrange those literature review so we can systematically, put those literature reviews so we can find a research gap, questions, and everything. So please, what is your tip and tricks in doing that? Thank you, before.
Tricks. I wish I could be a magician. I don't have any tricks, But yes, but yes, you're right. This is one of the very important topics that when people start writing their research, and idealistically, this should be the first chapter that one should approach. But in universities also, there is a formatting flaw. I highlight that instead of writing the chapter number 1, please ask your students to write chapter number 2 first, literature review first, and then chapter number 1. Because you see, you are asking about research gaps. How come, Indriya, we can write research gap without reading a literature? How can I be clear without reading a literature about the significance of the study, about managerial implications? So this is a formatting flaw which a lot of universities, they are facing in common. But again, they are sticking to it. Again, about literature review, systematic literature review, within this span of little time, I might not be able to tell you the methodology, but what I would request to you is to make an outline. That's the simplest way to do it. With the help of your supervisor, make an outline of it. But let's say you are into human resources. Know which area into human resources. Talk to your supervisor. Have a dialogue. Which area into? Let's say you are interested into positive workplace. And what into positive workplace? Maybe you are interested into positive leadership. What into positive leadership? So from the broader aspect to make it more narrower, read, discuss with your supervisor, read and discuss, and help yourself with an outline of a literature review section. Then fill in the gaps. This is a one simple way to do it.
Okay. I remember. Thanks for the answer.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Pasif, we have one question in the chat box here from Ferry Tia. May I ask, Professor, which one first we should find, novelty, theories, or phenomenon in doing PhD?
Oh, the scholarship.
Rational one first.
Yeah, the scholarship first. And honestly, scholarship first. Your financial, because those are putting a lot of stress on you. So properly, again, part of your management skill. I mean, balance the financial equation first. Either you can grab a loan if you don't have money, or you can rely on university scholarship, or what are the sources to bring in money, because you have to pay for that. For this scientific novel investigation, making this world a better place, you have to pay money from your pocket, okay? You are paying the cost of it. Only few universities, they'll ask you, okay, conduct research and we'll pay you. So these two phenomena clearly differentiate. First of all, arrange your money first. Second, I don't mind, keep a check on your health also. I might be very strange, talking about in a strange manner, but keep a health check also. Your blood pressures before starting your PhD, your cholesterol levels, and I'm very serious about it. Your cholesterol levels, your diabetes, your sugar levels, and also if there is any calcium deficiency into it. No, I'm acting like a biologist or a doctor, but financial information, and then your health check, and of course the family structure. If you are leaving your country, who will take care of your family? Or your family is going with you. If they are going with you, what you have in pocket? Can you survive with them for 3 years? These are very important considerations. Once you are done with that, scholarship, health check, family. Once you are done with that, maybe you have compromised on something. I'm not telling you an ideal story, but if you have done all these three, then move on. And now your question, which one we should find first? Novelty, theories, phenomena. In business and management, because it is arranged by a business school, so I would say the phenomena first. The phenomena first. The phenomena. Speak to a friend over a coffee. Maybe that friend might be working in Samsung. Friend might be working in, let's say, an airline company, okay, Batik Airlines, or what is another, the very famous Indonesian airline. What is the name, Indriya? Can you help me? The other famous?
Garuda Indonesia.
Garuda. I never traveled though. I always, aspire for it. Garuda Indonesia. Let's say one of your friends is working with Garuda Indonesia, and you invited him or her over a lunch or a dinner, and now you are sitting together discussing, and he is telling you that there are a lot of branding issues with us. We have some troubles here at work. Why not to take this phenomena as part of your PhD? Speak to your friend. Can I get some funding? What if I conduct this study for you? Would it benefit to you? Would it benefit to, let's say, your organization? Would it benefit to the airline industry in general? So maybe from those very general discussions, you can actually pick the topic of your PhD. Again, it's not a topic, it's just an idea. Convert this idea into a concept, read about it, what has published about it, and then this concept into a practical reality, that is your PhD. So answering your question more briskly, I will take phenomena first, and then the rest of the things will come.
Thank you very much, Professor.
You're welcome.
Thank you, very clear. Is there anything from the audience who wants to raise question or comments to Kasif? Kasif, I would like to ask.
Okay. Sure, please.
I don't know. Perhaps some of the participants also curious. There is a positivism and interpretivism paradigm. As a new beginner, which one should what factors could influence me as a new one to choose which paradigm I could take?
First of all, it's a matter of our personality. You know, some people, they think very rationally. Some people think in terms of money, in terms of numbers, in terms of material. Okay. So if I am the one who is thinking in terms of numbers, in terms of materials, I am nicely putting myself, and I can see myself into positivism, because I'm more interested into the material. But if I like emotions, if I like to hear people, if I like to spend time with them, if I like to listen them, if I think I have this ability that maybe if they will cry, I will feel the pain. I mean, not to say that positivists don't feel that, but sometimes the interpretivists are the one who overfeel that. If other person is anxious, they are also anxious. They are like twisted by the tail. If other person is crying, they might having tears. You know, on the airports, I was talking about the airline. Let me tell you this very interesting story. How I found I am an interpretivist, more into interpretivism and less into positivism. There was a son and a father. And you know, in our cultures, when someone goes abroad, the whole family goes to see off. Okay. Now, I could see that the son met the father and having tears in the eyes, the son and the father both. And then with the mother, and then with the sister. And the son went away, okay, into the airport. After walking through, some walks, he again came back and hugged the father again, right? Now, after looking at it, I had deep tears into my eyes because I can feel that. And I guess a lot of people standing over there, they can feel that. So by large, if you ask me, we people living in this part of world are more like interpretivists, less like positivist. We love to be in the material, but we always, let's say, if I buy a new car, I say, come on, cab, sit with me, let's have a ride. Now, if I'm inviting my friend to the car, it means car is not of supreme interest. Friend is of supreme interest. If I buy a phone, I'll call, okay, come, see my phone. It means I'm interested in phone, but more interested in the friendship that I had with the. You see, one problem in the end, on a very serious note, people by personality are different, but the topics they choose are different. So that sometimes creates a conflict within itself. We don't love the topics because these topics don't belong to us. So if I can overcome this, let's say I did that in my PhD journey and even previously, I found that with the help of my teachers, I'm truly thankful to them. I overcome this part of my personality, that by personality I'm interpretivist, but can I conduct a material investigation? If I can, then positivism is more easy. Because interpretivism, you have to bear the data. Let's say if you go to, I always give this example, if you go to an old house and ask the mother how she feels about being there, what do you think? What she will tell you? What she will tell you would be the sad face, would be the tears. So can you bear the tone? Can you bear those emotions? Can you align yourself with those emotions at the same time acting like a scientist? If you can do that, then please move ahead with the interpretivism. Then this is the stage of data collection. Other stage is of, let's say, data analysis. You have this type of data with you. Can you make it this? Okay, in quantitative, we are different. We have this data, we can generalize it. In qualitative, it is the other way around. We have a lot of data. And I will feel lost even having a lot of experience. I feel lost myself into the data. I need help of my friends. I needed help of my supervisor. So no more precisely. If you ask me where to start, positivism, quantitative research. This is to start, get a flair of research. What is investigation? What is science? How to go about it? But this qualitative research can definitely take you into an entirely different world in terms of your personality, in terms of your investigations. And usually when I say research is a personality development program, it is all about your personality shaping up with the help of research topics. So there are few topics who does not influence me as a person, but there are few topics who actually influence me as a person. That's the difference between opting for a research topic which is in sync with my personality versus opting for a research topic which has nothing to do with me.
Bu Indria?
Yeah, Krishma, please go ahead.
How do you actually choose theory? Which theory to use? Is it based on the role that you just mentioned, or how do we start? And then there are a lot of theory there, and then it can actually be explained by any theory, right? So it's kind of confusing in terms of choosing the right theory for our research. How do you choose your theory?
My role and my phenomena. You see, there are, Krishna, there are few phenomena which we don't see, right? Am I right? There are few phenomena which we actually tend to overlook. Let's say I'm sharing this incident of airport. I'm picking only this one phenomena. Why? There must be some reasons to that. I'm ignoring some other phenomena. Maybe there are some taxi drivers asking for passengers to come. Maybe there are flight attendants. They are announcing on the airport, but I'm ignoring those phenomena. There must be some reason to that. It means I have a personality and I have a role. Personality and a role. This personality and this role should help me to find a theory and find a phenomena. Role, phenomena, theory. This way I will go. My role will dictate the phenomena that I will foresee, and the phenomena itself will then help me to find some theories. And you are very right, there are multiple theories to explain the same phenomena. But which one is closer to you? That's what your PhD is about. That's what your investigation and research is about. Which one is more closer?
Where do we put our role in terms of determining our role? Because yes. I think that's the most important thing before you actually get into the research, right?
Very right. I strongly agree. Let's see, one role is given to us. PhD is management. This is one role. PhD in physics. This is another role. PhD in law. This is another role. Am I right? PhD in aeronautics. This is another role. So sometimes people help us when they give us this admission. We can help to define ourselves by virtue of their authority. Okay, that this is our role that we need to play. But sometimes, you know, see, as a researcher, you explore yourself that what is your role. Sometimes as an interpretivist, sometimes as a positivist.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Krishna. Anyone? Any more questions?
Anna, Mbak Indri.
Oh, okay, Ibu Anna. Anna, please go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon from Jakarta, Professor Kasif. Thank you very much for your inspiring session. I initially had two questions, but the first one has been answered previously. It was about how to stay non-biased as a qualitative researcher, because, you know, sometimes it's too easy to get involved into emotions when we do interviews or when we look into the data that we have collected, but it was answered, I think, responded from your previous explanation. So thank you. So I came to Mike's.
Sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Just one point. I would allow myself to be highly biased when it comes to qualitative investigation. Why I am saying that? Because when I'm a qualitative researcher, I am talking about the choices of people. Let's say I purchased this necktie. There could be other substitutes also. I could have purchased them also. But I'm too biased to buy this one. I purchased this jacket. There were black jackets, white jackets, brown jackets. I purchased this blue one. Okay. So I'm biased about it. There are McDonald's. Let's say there is other burger shops, KFC, Pizza Hut, etc., etc. But I went to Subway. I'm biased because all of us by default are biased human beings. There are 100 people, but 2 are my friends. Let's suppose there are 500 people, 100 are my friends. So I'm biased as a human being by default. But the scientific investigations should remain scientific. I can remain biased as a scientist, but remain, following the traditions which are used by qualitative research. For example, let not be over-influenced by the data, let not be over-influenced by the techniques that we used, and let not be over-influenced by the emotions of the respondent. Maybe how I can heal if someone is crying, maybe I can get silent, okay? I can say, okay, no problem, better word will come to you, better time will come, and then again go to the topic. Then again go to the topic. So this way, with the passage of time, you will get the skill. Let not be over influenced. We can remain biased, but as a scientist as well. Please move your second question you were asking.
Thank you. I really noted on that key point saying that we can be biased but stay true to the science. That's, yes. I think I will take note on that. My second question, in qualitative research, it's always being said that the thickness is the main validity test to the research. But yes. I'm still curious. I mean, there are many different versions of people are explaining how to measure the thickness. So I'm interested to find your point of view on how actually us as a researcher can measure or maybe determine this is thick enough in terms of qualitative research. Thank you very much, Professor.
You are most welcome. You are most welcome. I wish I had the whiteboard with me to explain you as what is the thickness, because let's say there is one phenomena I explained to you. I purchased this jacket. This is one phenomena. Now, there could be multiple reasons for that. Reason 1, reason 2, reason 3, reason 4, reason 5, reason 10. Now, I have under those reasons, some sub-reasons to that. Okay. One reason, let's say social reason. Now, under social reason, I have some sub-themes over there. It could be personal reasons, sub-themes under personal reasons. It could be professional reason, sub-themes under professional reasons. It could be organizational reasons, some sub-themes under organizational reasons. This way I refer it to the thickness of the data, multiple reasons with multiple analogies under those reasons.
Thank you very much. That's very clear analogy and structure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna. One more question, perhaps, before we close the session. No question anymore.
Can I ask you something?
Oh, sure, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kalsi, for your explanation before. My name is Karisma Sri Rahayu from State Polytechnic of Malang. I want to ask you something about one of the requirement for us to graduate from PhD on time in Indonesia is submitting the journal. But when we submit the journal, it takes a long time to be accepted or to be published. So what is your suggestion for that problem? Thank you.
Thank you. You are my heart actually. When one suggestion is in
Hello, Kasih. It's not. Hello. Seems that internet trouble.
Yeah, I think the connection maybe.
Yeah, connection. We'll wait a moment.
Same with me here in Komodo Island.
Oh, okay. Komodo Island.
Yes, I'm in Komodo Island, so I cannot follow.
Oh, hi, Pak Hubert.
Yes. Well, yeah, can you have to share the presentation as well?
We wait for Kasih.
Yeah.
Oh, so you are in the Komodo Island. Is it a real Komodo Island, Pak Hubert?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Not the background, right?
No. I can share you the picture through WhatsApp.
Thanks for joining in.
Yes, of course. There is a lot of questions related to this specific program in Prasetya Mulia.
Thank you.
Nice background, Pak.
It's come back?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not come back. It's not yet.
He's still trying to connect. Yeah.
I think so. Ah, it's come back. Can see him again.
Ah, yeah. Okay. Hi, Kasif. You back?
Yeah. Sorry, it was disconnected. So I was addressing this question as, let's say, about the journal publication. There is no one rule to fix this problem. If you see from the journal, being I myself being the editor, you see, review work is voluntary work. So we are deficient of having quality reviewers at one end. And then the editorial process, it has own time. The standard was 90 days. Now it is extended to 4 months sometimes. In our own review for the last 4 months now, it's closer to 4 months now. So this is a standard practice. They will take some time. So it will remain as it is. Okay, we cannot change it. We don't have any freedom to change it. It will remain as it is. But what we can do, maybe thoroughly read about the journal scope, the editorial scope, be in the discussion of the journal, like the articles that have already been published over there, how our article is new from the already published the articles in the journal. And one thing from the PhD student perspective, what you can do, as I said, after you finish your proposal defense, get ready to submit your article, at least one article. It could be systematic literature review, or it could be a conference paper, it could be a journal article, it could be a case study, it could be a book chapter, at least one publication. And we have enough time. What I did during my PhD, in the first year, because I was reading literature, okay, so make a note of it so that you can produce at least one paper for systematic literature review. That's the only solution. Otherwise, journal, we cannot control them. They will take 4 months, 5 months, sometimes 6 months, sometimes 7 months to give back the reviews. And that problem can be encountered you can start writing the article in the second year or the third year, so that before you graduate on time, and you tell the examiners that you are able to publish the article with the journal.
Okay, thank you, Mr. So we must write it. I think, yeah, write it first and then submit it, something like that.
Yeah, you see, I give an example of a fisherman. If I'm a fisherman, I need to catch the fish. I need to go to the sea on a daily basis. No. Yes, I need to go there on a daily basis. Only then I can catch the fish from the sea. So as a writer, as a researcher, as a PhD student, go there daily basis. Read, write, because you want to catch the fish.
Yeah, sure.
What type of fisherman I am, that I'm not going to do it like for ages? And how come I expect that I will have fish in my basket?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kasif, for your explanation.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ibu Karisma, for the question. Yes, indeed, it's absolutely true. To keep writing.
Yes.
So does it mean that rejection is something that has to be there? I mean, for one acceptance, it could have been coming from after 10 rejections, probably.
Yeah. Let me tell you a very interesting story that I submitted an article to a non-impact factor journal. It was rejected over there, okay? But they gave me some suggestions to improve the work. After improvement, I don't know what happened to me. I submitted the same article, which was rejected from a low category journal to a high category journal. After it was accepted over there. Prizes also. Rejection is one form of acceptance also, because they are providing you some solid reasons to improve on the article.
Okay, so we must learn from the rejection.
Definitely. And don't be like, don't worry about it. It's part and parcel of higher education. If you are teaching, your students present you some work, and I have this tendency, sometimes I say, no, it's not acceptable. So that's very normal. Very normal.
Yeah, very normal. Even after graduated, right, Kasif?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome to the jungle of publication. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the questions. And we are now arrive at the end of the session. Okay, thank you, Kasif, for the discussion.
Most welcome. Most
and
welcome.
yeah, we're discussing about the PhD journey. But as a researcher myself, I learned that research is indeed a continuous journey, as you mentioned in your presentation, to find improved. For me, to find improved ways to understand the reality, you know, our world around us, situations that keep evolving. Especially in this time of COVID-19 pandemic, I think it's almost everything around us is unfolding. So all for my all the researchers here in this session, and especially to some of you who just started your PhD study. So let's enjoy the journey, enjoy the research journey. Okay, not only the PhD but research journey. Okay, Kasif, I will wrap up the session, and then is there anything else you want to cover before a wrap up?
Yes, someone was asking a question. Hi, Professor, need your suggestion based on experience. Which one is more effective, taking a full-time PhD or part-time PhD? If you wanted to be in academia, I would say full-time PhD, because then it will, once you are into full-time job, you learn so many new things. It's not only about learning theory. It's not only about passing a degree. It is more than that. Once you will be there full-time, it is more than that. It's your personality development program. On the contrary, the part-time is part-time. Part-time, I have seen people sometimes, even Indriya, you've been to the West, a lot of people go part-time, but they finish up like in 8 years, 10 years. Sometimes they don't finish. And I would critically look into the data that 50% of those who fail, most of them, I have this gut feel that they will be the part-timers because they don't complete. And also, you see human tendency, once you have options, you always remain confused. You say you have a job, then your inner will always tell you why you are taking stress, why this PhD, you don't need that. But once you will burn the boats, you will find a way to go back.
Yeah. So many distractions. Yeah. More.
Yes. So once there are options, some options within itself will like take you to a place where you can find a new island.
Yeah.
It would confuse you. But having no option is a blessing as well. So taking a full-time degree, not an idealism I'm talking about, but to me, if you take 1 or 2, full-time is the thing to do.
Yeah. Thank you, Freddy, for the question. Hope this helps. Okay, thanks, Kasif. Okay, so we arrive at the end of this session. On behalf of Universitas Prasetya Mulia, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you, Kasif. Your presentation and, of course, your invaluable thoughts are indeed very useful for all of us here. Thank you so much.
I hope so. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be there. And thank you very much for inviting me. And thanks to all the participants that they were like, still it's like 2 hours and I can still see people there. Thank you to all of you, those who managed, all the research office, the business school, you especially, you initiated, I remember a few months ago. So thank you for all what you have done. And thanks to all the participants. I hope we will continue to do it.
Of course.
Somehow we will collaborate, say any type of guidance. If I can assist, my email is there in the first slide I shared. So you can always write me at the email address. Looking forward positively.
Yeah, certainly it's not the first one and last one, but we will continue our cooperation. Okay, I would like also thanks to my colleague, the research office team from Universitas Prasetya Mulia School of Business and Economics for preparing and making this webinar runs very well. Thanks so much. And for all the participants, thank you a lot. Thanks a lot for being with us today. We will see you again next time. Okay. Stay healthy, everyone, and goodbye.